In the heart of the misty Appalachian Mountains lived a man named Silas. He wasn't your typical recluse. His cabin was a sanctuary, not just for him, but for any creature that wandered onto his porch seeking refuge. Silas had a heart as vast as the wilderness that surrounded him, a quiet kindness that seemed to hum on the very air of his small homestead. He had lived there for decades, his face a roadmap of laugh lines and weathered patience. A testament to a life lived in harmony with nature. One evening, as a thick silvery fog rolled down from the peaks, Silas was settling in by his fireplace, a well-worn book in his lap. Suddenly, a series of soft, hesitant scratches echoed from his front door. It wasn't the familiar clawing of a raccoon or the gentle nudge of a deer. This was different. Curious, Silas set his book aside and creaked open the heavy oak door. What he saw made him blink, then blink again, huddled together on his porch. Shivering not from cold, but from what seemed like fear, were 10 small, furry creatures. They stood on 2 legs, their bodies covered in thick, dark fur, and their large, expressive eyes stared up at him with a silent plea. They looked like miniature versions of the legendary Bigfoot, creatures of local lore he'd only heard about in hushed campfire stories. But these weren't towering monsters. They were barely taller than his knee, and their innocence was palpable. Without a moment's hesitation, Silas's gentle nature took over. He saw not myth or mystery, but 10 small souls in need of help. He gestured for them to come inside, his voice a low, calming rumble. "Come on in, little ones. You're safe here." One by one, they cautiously shuffled past him, their wide eyes taking in the warmth and light of his cabin. They huddled together near the hearth, soaking in the radiating heat from the fire. Silas didn't bombard them with questions. Instead, he moved with quiet purpose. He brought out bowls of fresh milk from his goat and some berries he had picked earlier that day. The little creatures, who he affectionately started calling his little Bigfoots, ate with a delicate, almost polite hunger. Once their bellies were full, a sense of peace settled over them. They curled up on the old rag rug before the fire, their soft, rhythmic breathing filling the cozy silence of the cabin. Silas watched them for a long time, a soft smile playing on his lips, before finally banking the fire and heading to bed himself, his heart full. The next morning, Silas was awoken not by his rooster, but by the frantic barking of his neighbor S-dogs, and the flashing lights of a police cruiser pulling up his long, winding driveway. His neighbor, a nervous man named Earl who was prone to panic, had seen the strange small figures through his binoculars the evening before and, fearing the worst, had called the authorities. 2 officers, Sheriff Brody and Deputy Miller, stepped out of the car, their faces etched with a mixture of duty and skepticism. "Silas," Sheriff Brody called out, his hand resting on his hip. Earl called in a strange report. Said you had some kind of wild animal infestation. Everything all right?" Silas chuckled, rubbing the sleep from his eyes as he met them on the porch. Everything's more than all right, Sheriff. Come on in. There's something you need to see. He led the two officers inside. As they crossed the threshold, they stopped dead in their tracks, their jaws dropping in unison. There, in the soft morning light filtering through the windows, were the 10 little creatures. They weren't cowering or hiding. Instead, they were helping. One was gently sweeping the floor with a small hand broom Silas kept by the door. 2 others were carefully stacking firewood next to the hearth, their movements precise and coordinated. Another was attempting to mimic Silas's morning stretches, its furry arms reaching for the ceiling in a comical display of effort. They were not wild animals. They were intelligent, gentle, and unbelievably helpful. Sheriff Brody and Deputy Miller were speechless. They walked slowly around the room, observing the scene with wide, disbelieving eyes. They had come expecting to deal with a pack of coyotes or maybe some rogue bears. This was something else entirely. They saw no threat, no danger, only a scene of bizarre, heartwarming domesticity. Silas... What are they? Deputy Miller finally whispered, his voice full of awe. Silas just smiled, a twinkle in his eye. They're my guests. That's all that matters. He explained how they had arrived, frightened and alone, and how he had simply offered them shelter. He spoke of their gentle nature and their surprising helpfulness. Sheriff Brody, a man who had seen almost everything the mountains could throw at him, simply shook his head in wonder. He looked at Silas, then at the little creatures tidying up the cabin, and a slow smile spread across his face. He keyed his radio. Dispatch, this is Brody. Situation at the Silas residence is all clear. False alarm. Just a misunderstanding. We're heading back. The news of Silas and his 10 little helpers spread through the small mountain community like wildfire, but not in the way you might expect. Instead of fear or panic, the story was met with curiosity and a sense of wonder. The locals, who had always respected Silas, trusted his judgment. They started leaving small gifts on his porch baskets of fresh vegetables, jars of honey, and hand-knitted blankets. They weren't for Silas, but for his new, mysterious family. The little Bigfoots, as everyone now called them, thrived under Silas's care. They became a part of the fabric of his life, his little shadows, helping him tend his garden, repair his fences, and even gather herbs from the deep woods. Their presence brought an incredible joy and purpose to Silas's quiet life. He taught them, and in return, they taught him about a world beyond human understanding, a world of silent communication and profound connection to the forest. The cabin on the misty mountain was no longer just a home for one kind old man. It had become a legend, a beacon of compassion in the heart of the wilderness. It stood as a testament to the idea that kindness knows no bounds, and that sometimes the greatest treasures are not found in gold or silver, but in opening your door to those in need, no matter how strange or small they may be. Thank you so much for watching. If this story warmed your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more incredible tales. We'd love to have you join our community. See you in the next video.